Hi, I'm Leslie Hughes, also known as Janelle. Um, this is the person I'm going to be interviewing for my ESL bilingual teacher. This is Connie Toing. She is a team member of mine in second grade at Ann Sullivan Elementary. She is ESL and bilingual certified. Her nationality is Chinese, but she was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Her mother was born and raised in
Monterrey, Mexico.
Monterrey, Mexico. Her mother speaks 3 languages. Her first language is Spanish. Her second is English. And her third is Chinese. Connie, can you tell me more about that?
So when my mother was born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico, her family raised all the children to live over there because my grandparents migrated from Hong Kong all the way to Mexico on the way to the United States.
Okay.
But he decided to stay in Mexico and open up a perfume shop.
Okay.
Okay, and so basically my mom was born and raised in Mexico. She helped run the perfume shop and everything. And then she also went to the English commercial school where she also learned English.
Okay, that's awesome.
And then coming here to the United States, my dad was in the U.S. Air Force as a radar man. And then they heard about some hot Chinese women in Mexico. And they decided to go see these women up there in Mexico. And they just dated for 6 months, and then they moved to Houston, Texas.
Okay, that sounds great. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
Do you teach ESL or a bilingual class at the moment?
No, I do not. I'm a classroom teacher. I'm a block teacher, which I teach. I teach. What am I teaching? I teach language, writing, and social studies in the second grade level.
Are there any ELL students in your classroom?
Most of my students are ELLs,
Okay.
English language learners.
Okay, so what area do you notice your ELL students have the most struggle with?
Just basically with the ELLs, they have a difficult time, understanding the words sometimes. But the concept, they take a time, and then they just take time to get to know the concept, what I'm teaching them, and everything.
Yes.
As an ESL teacher certified, I have to do certain ways of helping the children use my strategies. Like, for instance, I would have to basically slow down my pace so they understand my language that I'm speaking to them in English. And basically just learning different strategies that they have. I have to come down to their level and everything so they can understand the concepts.
Okay. You kind of answered my next question, which is what strategies do you use to assist those students with their struggle?
Okay, some other strategies I use is a slower pace, and basically I break down the words for them and understanding the concepts. I make it a more basic concepts for them to understand. And just there's various different strategies. I'm one-on-one with them. I'll come to them. I also do have ESL support, which I have the ESL teacher, the ESL certified teacher, come into the classroom and help me with all the children.
Okay. Do you notice a lack of motivation with your EL students?
No, more than anything, the opposite, because they're very motivated to learn, but they do ask me a lot of the times, what does that mean? What does this concept mean? And I'll break it down and explain it to them and everything on their level.
Yeah. I also have a couple EL students in the classroom that I'm student teaching in. What type of motivation is most prominent among your students?
Motivation is just learning the concept. They really get really get excited when I'll say good job, just helping them understand what I'm talking to them about. Yes.
Okay. What have you done as an ESL teacher to keep EL students engaged?
Just constantly talking to them, and I'm always checking for understanding with them, and just basically just coming down to them and just talking one-on-one with them. Are you understanding the concept? Yeah. And so forth.
Oh, I understand.
And just a lot of positive strokes too. You're doing a great job. Just really encouraging them.
All kids
because they need that motivation. Yes. Yeah.
So, how does speaking a second language impact your ELL's cognition?
Their cognition is they're learn. A lot of the people, like my mother, for instance, she thinks in Spanish, but she turns everything in English. And so it just their cognition helps them understand what I'm trying to explain to them.
Okay. How does speaking I already said that one. How does having ELL students influence your lesson planning?
Well, the having ELL students in my classroom helps encourage me to bring it down to a more basic level so that they're understanding what I'm trying to teach them. As well as, it's just not specifically for them, but it's all students in general. So it helps them understand the concept as well. And they're like, oh, what gets me excited is when I hear a child go, wow, I get it. Now I understand. The light bulb clicks that on, and it's just so, that's why I went in education, because it just makes me so excited when I see a child. I get it.
Yes. So does that, you do a lot of differentiation with your ELL students?
Yes. Differentiation by slowing down the pace and just coming down to their level. And I try not to go too ahead of them, but just always checking for understanding. Do you understand this concept? Is there anything I can repeat? And like I said, it's not just for the ELLs. It can also be for the general ed students as well.
Yes.
So I can repeat and refresh and, just put it in a different strategy, a different way of explaining it to them. Yes.
Okay. And my last and final question, do you think there's correlation between language aptitude and language learning?
That's a good question. Language aptitude, I think has to do with academic, and then language learning. It's just like Bix and the Bix and Kelp, and just basically they're just they use everything to help each other. So I guess the language aptitude as well as the language learning works together for them to come to a clear understanding what we're teaching them.
Okay, well that sounds great. I really enjoyed interviewing you.
Thank you very much.
And I learned a lot that I did not know before. So thank you for taking your time out of your lunch.
No problem.
Okay.
Bye.